2 weeks is a long time in internet terms, so I don't blame you if you completely forgot where I've been since my last video. I just spent 10 days in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi to be specific, with a couple visits to Dubai when I had time after work. Both cities are in the United Arab Emirates, and the whole trip was really fascinating. I was glad to have the time to take in the culture and get a lot of interesting perspectives about the Middle East that I hadn't had before. My business counterparts were very gracious hosts as well, and gave me a lot of fresh ideas on that part of the world during the course of our many surprisingly frank conversations about world geopolitics. Some of what I learned was so great that I almost decided to become a Muslim. Just kidding, I had a bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's as soon as I landed. When I arrived in Abu Dhabi, I was immediately impressed with the airport, which was very modern. The first sign that I wasn't in the United States or Europe was a presence of men with those long white robes with the traditional headscarf. This is called a dish dash, and in workplaces requiring formal attire, this can be worn instead of a suit and tie. The style of dress was extremely varied for both sexes. In a country where only 16% of the population are citizens, and Indians alone are 2 to 3 times that number, you could imagine that this would be the case. I also met many Pakistanis and Filipinos, as well as people from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, China, Sudan, Ethiopia, various Western nations, and lots more. The style of dress for women ran the gamut from short skirts, especially in the more touristy areas of Dubai, all the way to completely covered with a very gauzy fabric over their whole face. But I only saw that once or twice, and my host told me that sometimes women do that when they feel sick or don't feel like putting on makeup. I did not see a single burqa the whole time I was there. The only place I went where women were expected to cover up was at the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, which still annoyed me because of the clear double standard between the sexes, but the staff at the mosque weren't being jerks about it or being too picky. Even in the enormous shopping malls in Dubai, there were quite a few Saudi families that my hosts would point out, and they were walking right near European women in short shorts, and I saw no complaints or expressions of displeasure. What was even funnier to me, though, was seeing women in veils shopping for lingerie, with pictures of underwear models on the walls behind them. It's really very live and let live there, and tolerated to the point of accepted, that if the country wants Western business and tourism, then it needs to be Western friendly. Speaking of friendly, I found nearly everyone in the country to be very friendly. From the cab drivers to the shopkeepers to the locals strolling around in their dish dashes, I don't think I ever got so much as a frown from anyone. There seemed to be a fair amount of upward mobility among the guest workers as well, as most of the managers and directors at the client site were not UAE residents. Most of them weren't Arabs or even Muslims for that matter. The United Arab Emirates is a country that has only existed since 1971. When the local emirs started exporting oil in the 60s, the cultural landscape changed a lot, and the biggest force in the formation of the country, Sheikh Zayed, who died in 2004, decided that instead of turning the country into yet another Middle Eastern kleptocracy, that he would plow all the oil money into infrastructure and healthcare that everyone could benefit from. Encouraging foreign workers to come to the country from areas of the world with fewer opportunities and a lower standard of living was also a hallmark of his reign. Before you think I'm hailing the country as some sort of workers' paradise of freedom, though, I was having an issue with Skype that I've had since work switched me from a PC to a Mac laptop a few weeks ago, and when I went to the Skype support forums, I came to a screen telling me that I couldn't go there because the site was blocked by the government. Apparently, they blocked the Skype website after Arab Spring started a couple years ago, though you can use it if you already have it installed, which is a weird reaction, I think. I saw no signs of the poverty that tends to fuel social unrest. I got to ask my hosts about what they thought about all things Muslim, and I had some great discussions about Islam and its various struggles with modernity and radicalism. Most Arabs see the relatively small portion of the Muslim population in various European countries who follow these radical clerics as a cancer to Islam, and believe, and I quote, "those idiots should just be deported." They're especially amused by the cleric with a hook prosthetic in place of his right hand, but they say that those Muslims don't listen to moderate Muslims any more than they listen to us, though they have tried. I've always known this, of course, but it seems there's no shortage of Americans who think otherwise. They really should step outside the country every once in a while, because then they would understand why it's so funny when lawmakers in Texas or Tennessee try to introduce laws that prevent Sharia law from being imposed. As I've alluded to already, the UAE is not a shining beacon of human rights in the world, but, grading on the curve of most Middle Eastern countries, I think it would be hard to find another country in the region more comfortable for the likes of me. I would tell you about all the cool sights I saw too, but I have some other things to do first. I'm off to impose Sharia law in Kentucky.